A database has been the backbone of any organization since the last few decades, and the fun fact is there was no major change in the infrastructure of any database. But now, finally is the time to give a rebirth to the databases, and this work is done by the same team who developed the Apache Spark, and this time the architecture is totally changed. And yes, I can make a bold statement here that this new change will bring a lot of modifications in the data domain with respect to your profiles, job, and day-to-day responsibilities as well. So the next 15 minutes are so important for you if you are in the data domain or someone who uses databases. So without delaying, let's get started. So let's try to see what is our current approach with the database and what are the problems we were facing with the current architecture. So basically every data professional uses SQL on a day-to-day basis, and usually we simply write like this. So we were simply sending this query to this database and that is it. Okay. Now, what exactly inside this database? Let's take an example of PostgreSQL because PostgreSQL is very, very popular. So what will happen? First of all, you will have something called as query engine inside it, which will take care of all of the parsing, optimization, analysis, and obviously the execution as well. So this is your query engine. Some databases will use different names, but this is the core concept, query engine. Along with the query engine, we have two major components. The one is called wall. The second one is called your data files, or you can say heap files or index files. What is this? What is this thing? Let's talk about it. This is your, let's say, data files or let's say heap files. Okay. Now what will happen? Whatever you are asking, this query will go here, not to your cylindrical shaped SQL database. Okay, so this will go here. Now this is your query engine, which is using your compute from the virtual machine or your machine, the CPU, memory, every resource. But it uses this thing called as wall. Wall is used, first of all, the full form is write ahead logs. This is used to write all of the logs which are happened on your database. If you updated something, there will be a log for that. If you inserted some data, there will be a log for that. So it is just like maintaining the state of the database, and that is it. And it is very quick. That is why we use wall for the writes, because you do not need to maintain any order. You simply dump or basically append the logs into the wall. Simple, very sorted. And these two things live on the disk. Okay. Remember this thing because this is the core thing which we are just trying to discuss. So this is saved on disk, both the things, wall and heap both. Okay, very good. And this is your any VM that we have, let's say your virtual machine or any server or any machine that you are using. It can be your local machine as well. Very good. And heap is the area where you actually store the real table data. Let's say you have the users table, then the real data will be stored in the heap section. What is heap? What is wall? We are not discussing in detail, but just imagine that there is a component. When we just talk about a server, SQL server, there are two components, wall and heap. You can also call it as, let's say, data files. So this is the concept of a single machine. Now the problem is, bro, if you want to continue with this approach, and this approach was actually very popular so far, the problem is this is just one single machine. Agree with me? Very good. Just be with me now, because now the turning point is coming into the picture. Okay. Now this is just one machine, only one machine. Now if anything wrong happens to this machine, let's say anything wrong happens, let's say this machine is down, let's say for any reason, then what will happen? All of the data will be lost. Common sense. Why? Because data lives here on the disk, and all of the logs obviously will be lost because wall lives on the same machine. Wow. So this is one problem. Just keep adding more and more problems, because we are just trying to solve all the problems today. Okay. So this is just problem number one. Problem number two is, let's say this is just one problem. Okay. Now someone will say, Ansh, Lamba, do you know what? We are living in 2026 and we can actually solve this problem by replicating the whole thing to a different machine. And that guy is actually right, because this approach is genuine. But if I want to add or basically increase the availability of this database, I can create a clone. I created a clone. Makes sense? But I created the entire data. Now just imagine that I have data of about 10 terabyte, which is like very small database as compared to today's world. So let's say 10 terabyte. I am literally replicating the 10 terabyte of data just to have more availability. First problem, okay? Cost. Second problem, it is not very quick to initiate this virtual machine, bro. Why? Because see, first of all, you need to replicate the data in the disk. Second, you need to play all of the logs, all of the, you can say, wall logs that you have saved in the disk in order to achieve the latest state of your database. I hope it makes sense. Okay. Now, another problem. Okay. Another problem. Not just about cost, not just about speed. Another problem. Now, let's say in my company, I have so many users. Let's bring the users in. So let's say, just be with me because this section is so important and this is my favorite as well. So let's say you have these users and the number of users are increasing rapidly. It you can say grew from 10 to 100 to thousands, obviously. So now the thing is, let's say you want to enable, or basically you want to scale the reads for your data, reads. Okay. If you want to scale the reads of your data, that means you want to serve more and more number of users. What you will do, or what you should do with the traditional approach, you will simply say, bro, you can just create clone, because there is no other way. Again, I will create a clone, right? Now the problem is solved because these users can actually share the queries. Some users will just use this particular instance, some users will use this instance. That is fine. But again, the problem is cost. Problem is the entire replication of the database. So this problem is actually solved by a group of people. And how did they solve it? Let me just show you. So basically, let's bring this particular architecture, which is the common thing that we have, right? So we need to work with query engine. We need to work with wall. We need to work with data files, which is your heap as well. Let's write data files here because it will make more sense. Okay. Data files. Simple. This is the requirement. Now, everything is running on a single virtual machine, or basically single machine. Very good. Let's try to assemble the pieces again. So now what we can do, okay, or what those people have done, they said, bro, you need wall. They said, yes, we need wall. Let's move this piece away. Wow. Let's externalize this particular piece. Externalize. Now this is not internal. Let's externalize this thing. And let's use distributed storage. You can also say cloud storage, distributed storage service. Okay. This is externalized. Bro, you need data files to write the real data. Yes. Let's move this as well. Let's move this as well. So this is also moved here. So now what will happen? Your data files are also hosted on another distributed storage. Whoa. Now your walls are different, or you can say is externalized. Your data files are externalized. This area can be considered as, you can say, safekeeper. Okay. Safekeeper. And this area is called as page server. Now, these two components are decoupled from your query engine, and now you just have this query engine in your virtual machine. Wow. And all these three pieces communicate over network. This is called your new architecture, where you have decoupled your compute. This is your compute from your actual data that you need. Make sense? This concept is called lake base. And now, Ansh, just tell us how this new architecture will solve all of the problems we discussed in the above examples. Let's talk about it. The very first problem was, if the machine goes down, all of the data will be lost. Now just tell me one thing. This is our virtual machine. If this machine goes down, will data be lost or not? Obviously no, because data is sitting here in the page server and all of the logs are sitting in the safekeeper. So that problem is solved. Second problem was, you can say, for scaling. Now let's say I want to serve more and more users. Now I can easily add these machines easily. And you know what? Let's say, let me just add 2 more machines. Now all of these machines will simply read the data from the independently hosted page server and safekeeper. Now the startup time will be so quick because there is no data migration involved. There is no migration of 10 terabyte of data. Second thing, I can easily downscale this machine as well. Let's say I am done with my users, okay, and all of the users are happy, and now I can just you can say remove some virtual machines. I do not even need to worry about that. I can literally remove all of the machines. Yes, literally all of the machines, because I have all of the things here sitting safely. Are you getting my point? And in the AI era, this enables one more thing which is so powerful, which is called branching. Now you can create, let's say you have an AI agent, okay, let's bring AI. Let's say you have this cute AI agent, and everyone knows that AI agent can delete the databases. Obviously it is risky. Now do you know what? This AI agent can literally use this particular engine, and this database, this database is actually integrated with this AI agent. Now this AI agent can spin up a new database very quickly, but without any risk of data loss, because data is actually hosted independently and vaults are hosted independently. You do not even need to worry about anything. This enables your agents with more and more number of databases that it can create easily. So I hope the point is clear. Now your native Postgres native, you can say, files, which are your heap files, index files, are sitting in your cloud storage, which is so cheap. It can be Azure, it can be AWS. You can just imagine, let's say S3 as well, just for the example. So you can literally imagine that this is actually connected with your cloud storage, which is so cheap. So this was all about this new architecture, lake base. And now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, see, we just need to submit the queries and we just need to run select statements. And why do we need to worry about this thing? Because we are not managing the databases. Someone else will do that. Okay, very good point. Let me just tell you something else. Now, after building this lake base, the same team actually basically they discovered something that can be solved with this approach. Now the thing is, if you just put some light on this particular architecture, where is our data? Data is here, not in the virtual machine, right? Very good. That means I can actually access the data from here. Wow. But Ansh, Lamba, here is the thing. We cannot access the data. Why? Because here the data is only saved in the form of Postgres native files. So that means only those users can take the benefit of this approach who wants to see the Postgres data, or basically who wants to deal with the data which requires the transactional overhead, right? Asset compatibilities, quick writes, right? That is the major problem which is solved by databases. Very good. That is a very genuine question. Very good. Yes, data was sitting in the Postgres native format in the cloud. That is true. But do you know what did they discover? They discovered that, bro, at the end of the day, we need to run analytical queries on top of our data. Simple. For that, we used to do this thing. We used to simply take the SQL source, okay, and we used to perform some CDC, ETL, anything, mirroring, so many things, like mirror, right? So we used to perform all of these things, and here the major role was done by data engineers to perform this thing. Like we were just building pipelines, we were just scheduling it, monitoring it, and blah 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 blah. And we were just building the warehouse or your lake house. Make sense? Okay. Now they said the primary goal of building the data warehouse was to enable the analytical queries, to build reports, to enable analytics team to perform anything, right? Now they said, what if we can just move this layer directly to this layer? How it is possible? Because it is not possible. You cannot query this particular thing because it is not reliable enough. It is not built to read millions or billions of records. Obviously makes sense. But here they performed something amazing. They said that we will perform something called as transcoding from your Postgres native file formats to columnar based file formats such as Parquet, and more prescribably I can say Delta Lake or Delta format, or basically Apache Iceberg format. So here you have Parquet in the picture, and everyone knows when you have Parquet in the picture, that means you can actually perform the big data query workloads as well using only the single copy of the data, only single copy of the data. Now this particular team is also happy, this team is also happy using only and only one copy of your data, basically one layer, that's it. And this is called LTAP, Lake Transactional Analytical Processing, which is the combination of OLTP plus OLAP. These were the two standards in the industry so far that we were just using. And now we have this combined version called LTAP. Are you actually able to see the power of it? Can you see how it will change the dynamics of data domain, or basically the roles that we have in the data domain? Because now we do not need to build the pipelines. We do not need to perform CDCs, mirroring, nothing. We can actually allow the developers, or basically team, to query the data which is in the source side. Are you able to see that thing? So let's conclude. So this is actually a major shift that happened in the data domain after years. Obviously, the previous shift was at the time of Lakehouse, and now it's Lakebase. And this will actually change a lot of things in data domain, that is for sure. And yes, it will be exciting. We will learn a lot of things. Yes, we will explore a lot of things. And yes, we will learn a lot of things. If you want to be updated with the right knowledge at the right time, hit the subscribe button right now, and I hope you loved the video, so simply hit the like button as well. Happy learning.